Bison for helping us out tonight. He is our intern from Notre Dame, and he is helping us out with our PowerPoint tonight. So it's looking good, looking pretty beautiful. If you have any family members who were not able to make it tonight, we just want you to know, as you heard, this is being recorded so that we can be watched later. We will be sending out an email later this week with the recorded link as soon as we get it. Can't promise what day that will be, but when we get it, so that if there's anyone that's not able to make it that you know of in your family or anyone else, they certainly will be able to view it later. So with that said, welcome to, as I said, the What to Expect webinar for the 2025 LHON conference. My name is Maria Johnson, and I am this year's conference chair. I live in San Diego, California, and I am also affected, and I've been affected for almost 12 years. Tonight, we're going to go into what you can expect when you arrive in St. Louis, Missouri, next week, the 19th through the 21st. And this webinar is mainly to give you some general information on things that you may want to know a little bit more about before you arrive at the hotel, so that you can arrive and feel comfortable and kind of know what you're walking into when you walk in those doors. Some of you have been to conferences many times, some of you have been once, and some of you have never been. But we want everyone to feel just as comfortable when they walk in to our LHON conference. There's going to be lots to do. We've got 2.5 days worth of sessions. We have in this webinar, we have a hotel map layouts of the floors that we're going to be on. We'll be going over general information, LHON identifying information, the LHON program, some things about the app that's coming out that you can find the agenda on, and lots of other little things that will give you some insight and give you some more information to make your conference experience the best that it can be. We will be taking questions after the presentation, so please hold them until the end. Don't worry, we will get to them. And so what we're going to do is we're going to start. I'm going to be hosting mainly the webinar, but I am going to be bringing in other folks to speak to some of the slides and to some of the sessions that they're a little bit have a little bit more information on. Plus, I can't see the slides that well. So anyway, we're going to continue on here. So Tim, if you could advance. All right, so we're going to start right away with the LHON program, because this is the meat of it. This is why you're coming to conference. Well, that's one thing. Of course, you're coming because you want to be with this amazing community and find connections and resources and support, in which you'll find all of it, but you'll also get a lot of education and knowledge. And that's what this program is going to do for 2.5 days. So starting with Thursday, the June 19th, registration will open early in the morning, and you can register all day. And that's where you're going to go check in and get your name badge. Our events start at 2:30, and from 2:30 to 4:30, we have casual networking in one of the rooms dedicated for the LHON folks on Thursday. And that's just a room where, if whatever time you come in, between that time frame, you can just come on down, come to that room, and find people that you can start talking with, start meeting, start reconnecting with, start to form those friendships, have the conversations, just kind of a way to casually get to know each other as we start to begin this really wonderful 2.5 days. So you don't have to be there straight on time. Just come on down anytime between that 2:30 and 4:30 time slot, and there'll be people in the room just simply having casual conversation. And they are all folks that are there for the LHON conference. At 4:30, we will start a LHON roundtable discussion, and that will be for an hour. And I'm going to turn this over to Jessica Loomer, who's going to tell us a little more about that.
Thanks, Maria. Hi all, my name's Jessica. I am one of the people helping organize the roundtable discussion. And if you came last year, it's going to be very similar. So kind of describing the layout a little bit, there'll be 10 roundtables. About 10 to 12 people will be sitting at each one, give or take. Don't quote me on that. But within each roundtable will be either it's going to be a doctor, community leader, someone that's going to be a really great resource. So you'll get to meet with four different people in the roundtables. Everyone, like the speakers only, will rotate, and there will be someone moderating, just to kind of keep that conversation organic, keep that conversation going. But this is one of the crowd of favorites. This was one of the biggest things that we got feedback on last year on how much everyone loved it. So we're bringing it back again this year. So definitely something you don't want to miss, and it's going to be very resourceful. I'm really excited. So thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Jessica. Yeah, so that's going to round out the networking type sessions for that day. But we are headed that evening. We will have the casual mixer reception, and that is a place where there will be some light appetizers. There'll be a cash bar, and that's kind of like a meet and greet. It's for folks who aren't able to make it in any earlier. They will come to the mixer, and again, you start to connect with people, find out who's there, maybe reconnecting with folks or connecting with people for the first time if you're a first timer as an attendee. It's just like a light little party, and it's really a ton of fun. And more than likely, I'll say, we will end up somewhere else in the hotel later that evening to carry on some of the fun. And we're going to be scouting out some locations at the hotel that if we do decide we'd like to talk a little bit longer and the mixer is over, we'll have a designated spot where you could find some of the LHON folks carrying on and into the evening a little bit later and enjoying themselves, and with some good fellowship and fun. So be on the watch for that. So the party's not over when we say it's over. It's over when we feel like it's over. So that's Thursday night. But don't stay out too late because we're going to start bright and early on Friday morning. And the Friday and Saturday are 2 full days of LHON sessions. And so beginning with Friday, again, registration will be open. So if you didn't get your name badge the day before, you can get it early on Friday. We start with a continental breakfast, and that's just what it is. It's a light breakfast, nothing super heavy, but there will be a breakfast buffet right near our room, which is again right outside the room. We don't where you can eat is not specifically in the LHON room, but there will be room next to it where you can eat. But again, it's light food, nothing heavy. If you need a bigger or heavier breakfast, I advise you to go and get breakfast beforehand. But we start our programming at 9 o'clock. And we will open up with the welcome session. And then we roll into a getting acquainted activity. And again, I'm going to throw it to Jessica, who's going to explain that a little bit more.
All right, more fun. So another crowd favorite. So this is more feedback that we're just incorporating into this year's sessions. We heard a lot about networking and icebreakers and just getting to know people in the room that you might not get to know. Especially like, yes, as a blind girl, I want to get to know other people and I might not be able to find them. So we're going to create that space. So for about 45 minutes, I'm actually organizing with some other great people on the committee a activity that will get you up and about, to get you mixing with other people, and we'll do that for about 45 minutes. We'll have some table topic, like good questions maybe asked to throw out there just to get the conversation started, but definitely don't have to stick to my questions. You can stick to whatever conversation that kind of arises there, but yeah, just we'll be up and about and grab a coffee and we'll start chatting, but it's going to be very organized. I would say it's not going to be like a mix and mingle of networking. It'll be some sort of organized format. So we'll make sure we have volunteers, and so no one's going to miss out, and it's going to be really inclusive. So I'm excited for this too.
Great. All right. So that's the getting acquainted activity. And after that, I'm not going to go into when we have breaks, but I'll get into when we have our meals. But after that, getting acquainted activity, I believe there is a break, but then we are going to roll into LHON and LHON Plus in overview, one of our science sessions, and I'm going to have Lissa Pointsino talk a little bit about that.
Hi, yeah, like Maria said, I'm Lissa Pointsino, and I'm really looking forward to this session. It's only an hour, but we're going to cover as much ground as we can in that hour. Paul Laurie and I are going to be asking questions of two amazing individuals. We have Dr. Rustam Karangia, who knows so much about LHON from an ophthalmology point of view, and then we'll have Dr. Ann Chiaramello, who has done a lot of work in the field of LHON plus, the non-vision, the extraocular features. And so the two of us have prepared a whole lot of questions that we're going to try and squeeze in as many as we can into that hour. And give you the opportunity to see these folks and who they are, and what they can share about these important topics. And Dr. Kranja will be with us the whole day. So we probably won't open it up to Q&A during this session because we've got a lot of questions we want to have them cover. So if you have anything that's burning that you want to make sure is on the list of things we ask, please shoot me a message on Facebook. And let me know, and I'll try and work it in. Paul and I will. But it should be a really lively session in terms of covering just a lot of ground on the basics of LHON and LHON plus.
Great. Thank you, Alyssa. All right, then we are going into our next session, which is called Mental Health and LHON, Navigating Support for Individuals and Families. And Melinda Marsh is going to speak about that session.
Thanks, Maria. So we're really excited to share about a brand new mental health booklet that we've created with a grant that came from Global Genes called How to Support the Mental Health of LH1 Community Members. It's a peer-to-peer mental health booklet that was written by a clinical psychologist after doing extensive interviews with those in our community, everyone from affected teens to young adults to carriers, to young women, to moms, to spouses, and so on. So then it's everyone in our community's perspective and their lived relationship with LHON, and how can a mental health provider provide the best care and outreach to that individual based on their experience. So instead of the LH1 community member being the teacher when they come in to see a mental health provider, they are actually receiving the services that they were seeking in the first place. And alongside myself, where I'll be doing a mini presentation to start, Jonathan Dater, who is a clinical psychologist and a part of our LH1 community as an individual affected with LH1, will be talking about this topic in more detail. And then he'll be doing a fireside chat with one of our LH1 community members, talking further about mental health and navigating the support system. Thanks so much. Looking forward to seeing everyone in next week.
Yeah. Yep, it's next week. Thank you, Melinda. That's going to be a great session. Then we have lunch, which will be a sit-down lunch in the room right next door to us. Then we, after lunch, we come back and we have our second of two science sessions, and this one is called Science, LH1 Science Moving Forward. And again, I'm going to throw it to Melinda to describe that session.
Thank you, Maria. Back again. So this session will have about 4 experts from the science realm, some from the biopharma world, some from the researcher side, and also some from the Mito Foundation, the advocacy side of mitochondrial disease, talking about the various aspects of where are we, where LHON is concerned, and where can that research go, both in the plus world as well as in the vision affected aspect, and what are the opportunities, and who are we currently as LH1 Collective working to partner with, and where do we see some of those commonalities where we can have that much more greater influence towards moving the science forward to benefit LHON. So that'll be an exciting session. I'm looking forward to it.
Wonderful. Thank you. Then we're moving into our next session, which is the community update. And I'm going to give it to Lissa to describe that session.
Yep, thanks. So for those of you who don't fully know the history of LHON conferences, it all started back in 2013 when Kara Strittmatter over at UMDF and I talked about, could we do a half-day session and record some of the experts in the field of LHON. And we've been really doing this ever since, and it's been growing and expanding in terms of scope and scale and people. The second year, 2014, was the first time we did an LHON community update. And we've really done, every year we've done an update about how the community has evolved. So this year you'll find just a really fun group. We'll have Jerry Laurie, Chris and Melinda Marsh, and myself up front, and Jessica Loomer. And we'll be just talking about many of the activities the community has undertaken over the past year, things that we've been doing, things we're working on, ways you can get involved. And so it should be a real fun hour.
Wonderful. Thank you, Lissa. All right. So that concludes Friday's sessions of content. And so sticking with the actual LHON programming, we're going to roll right over to Saturday and continue on with our agenda. And Saturday morning starts at 8 a.m. And so you early birds, it's a soft start, because we 2 years ago, we brought in a session called Coffee and Conversation. And it's really a session of more casual networking. But what makes it a little bit different is that we have presenters, we call them, that are going to be set up around the room. And they're folks that you can speak with about different things, different resources, different support services, different ways that they can help those who are blind, visually impaired. They are people from our data collection program for the LHON Collective. The LHON Collective also has someone who is going to be there from the fundraising arena. We have someone there demonstrating new glasses that are coming out called Echo Vision. We have Cane Enable Fitness. Cane Enable Fitness is owned by a gentleman who is affected with LHON, and it's a personal training business. He's also a blind strength coach for beat baseball teams. We have our big one we're having is the St. Louis Society for the Blind and Visually Impaired is bringing over assistive technology and devices and tools and fun gadgets. And it's going to be set up on a couple of tables as we've done in past years for people to look at and touch and feel and work. She's also going to be bringing OrCam. She's going to be bringing magnifiers and large print items, also even meta glasses. So I know that those things are of interest to many people in our community. But that's an hour. It's an hour and 45 minutes of again, continental breakfast that morning, grab a muffin, grab a coffee, come on in. And again, high marks for having more connection and more networking time. So we're doing it again now for the third year. And by the time 8:15, 8:30 rolls around, the room is a buzz. People are just chit-chatting all over the room and walking around the room and talking with our presenters. And it's really a fun, very casual session to start the morning, kind of on a soft start. But don't be too late, because it ends at 9:45 and we go into a break. And then at 10:10, we start a session called UMDF Update. And I'm going to throw that to Lissa to talk about that short session.
Yeah, this is going to be great. So many of you know that LHON, while we think of it as a vision disorder, it is fundamentally a mitochondrial disorder. So the United Mitochondrial Disease Foundation, UMDF, is the national organization that represents mitochondrial disease. And it is UMDF that is conducting the event that we're at. And so they have earlier this year taken on a new president and CEO of the organization. And she graciously offered to address our group. And we're like, oh, we're going to scramble the program, the agenda to make room for her because this would be awesome. So Chris Marsh, Paul Laurie, and I are going to have the opportunity to spend a few minutes just interviewing her briefly in that moment. And so that'll be a good opportunity to hear a little bit about her background and how she understands the world of mitochondrial disease based on what she's learned in the past few months as she's been as she's been leading the organization, and how LHON fits in. So that should be a lot of fun.
Okay, great. After that session, we roll into our next session, which is called Advocacy and Fundraising. And Jennifer Maleka is going to talk about that.
Melinda, Marsh, and I are doing the first part of the session on advocacy. We have two great speakers. One is from the Every Life Foundation, and the other one was a Minnesota State House of Representative from 2011 to 2015. Both will give us guidance on how to contact our elected officials so that we can be better advocates for the things we care about with LHON. The next session that Melinda and I will be doing will be on fundraising. We have a wonderful speaker who will be talking about different types of fundraising from corporate, foundations, grants, and individual. And then we will talk about successful individual fundraisers that have been done within the LHON community.
Wonderful. Thank you, Jennifer. Appreciate that. After advocacy and fundraising, we roll into our next session, which is called Living a Healthy Lifestyle with LHON. And this session is going to be presented by a gentleman named Evan Schwarbach. He is the owner and a personal trainer, and he is also affected by LHON. The business he owns is called Cain and Abel Fitness, and that's CANE. So it's a play on words there. And he does not only in person, but also virtual personal fitness. He is also, as I said earlier, a blind strength coach for various Beep baseball teams. He has also holds the title in the world's strongest blind man. You can ask him all about it when you talk to him. His session's going to be about breaking down barriers that those who are blind and visually impaired come across when they're trying to live a healthy lifestyle. And that is involved a lot in physical fitness and the lack of physical fitness and the barriers that we as blind or visually impaired individuals run into. And then the lack of empowerment on breaking those barriers and how can we become more self-efficient and empowered to be healthier, be healthier and live a better life physically, which also leads to mentally, as someone who is blind. He's also going to be talking about things to consider as someone who has LHON as far as fitness, nutrition, and sleep. So that'll be a really great session. Then after that, we have lunch, and lunch on Saturday will be a box lunch. And the box lunch, if you haven't had a box lunch at a hotel, it's simply, it's a sandwich. It's probably an apple, a cookie, and some chips, and it comes in a big box. And there may be some choices on the type of sandwich, probably a soda. Very simple, very easy. And again, you just pick one up, and then there will be a room, or the room next door, I believe, we will be eating our lunches in. After lunch, we will have our session called Living with LHON, and it is a panel of folks who have been talked to and are willing to come up on stage and share their journey from diagnosis to where they are now. And this is a panel that we have done since 2014, and I've been the moderator. And we have 4 wonderful individuals who have volunteered, or actually I picked them out and said, would you be willing to be on my panel this year? And we have Tim Johnson, Jennifer Bradshaw, Greg Heron, and Christy Nicolo. And they've all got very similar stories, but yet very different stories. As many of you know, the LHON's journey can be very similar. but the road we walk can be very different. And it's always a wonderfully spoken panel. It can be emotional, it can be the highs and the lows, and really give people some hope that other people are living with LHON and how they're doing it and how they've gotten through the tough times, the good times, the bad times, and the ugly times. It's all of it. So again, I promise you it's going to be another amazing session this year. And after that session is over, we will have our closing. And then we're going to try to do a group photo. So I'm going to throw it to Melinda to talk about how we plan to do the group photo.
Thanks again, Maria. So we discussed this just recently as a part of the LH1 conference team, and some of the challenges in the past years with our group photo have been that there's so many variations, and it A, takes a long time, and B, isn't a positive experience. So this year we're going to do one large group photo with everyone from the LH1 community included, and we will, if there are smaller pictures that others would, now that you've made all these new friends and reconnected with friends from past conferences, if you'd like to have additional photos taken from friends and family, you're welcome to do so. And we will have this one large photo that we can then share and post for all of you to take advantage of downloading to remember the conference that we've just completed.
Great. And we will be scouting out a location for that on the same floor so that it should be pretty simple. So we'll see how that goes. That concludes our LHON programming, but the fun doesn't stop there. The fun doesn't stop there. We then traditionally continue again to that location that is still to be determined, that we gather and continue on the networking. And when I say networking, we continue on with the fun and the friendship. And everyone is invited to just continue being together again at some to be determined location at the hotel where we can kind of relax, decompress from 2.5 great days, and really just chit chat about what you've learned, maybe new friends you've made, maybe they're friends that you've met years past and are just kind of trying to reconnect again. It's really just a big mix and mingle and just enjoy each other's company. And that carries on through Saturday evening. So I know most of you are leaving on Sunday because one, if you have never been, we've convinced you to stay because Saturday after the conference is so much fun, and it really does hold a lot of great memories. Lots of pictures are being taken, lots of posts on social media happen that afternoon, evening. So that's really kind of the icing on the cake, really, for the entire conference. So I encourage you to stay. Again, we will announce where we're all going to be meeting. We don't want anyone to feel like they're left behind. We want everyone to know where we are so that they can come and join the after party, if you will. So we're going to continue on with our presentation so we can go to the next slide.
So the next slide is to talk about the fact that, as I mentioned earlier, what we are doing with our LHON conference is taking place at the same location in coordination with and conjunction with a broader activity undertaken by the UMDF. And they have an entire session of series of sessions of programs for their patients and families throughout Thursday, Friday, Saturday. And I don't know the details about them. I do know that everyone in our group is absolutely welcome to attend any of the sessions on their program that is of interest to you. And I know that in particular, people in our community who do experience non-ocular symptoms, commonly called LHON plus symptoms, you might find that one or two of these or more sessions, many of them, may suit you more than what's happening in the LH1 room. Feel free to try it out, attend anything that's on the Mitomed family program. And just as people in attending that program have been invited to join us, you might find folks in our room who aren't necessarily considered in the LHON community, but they might, have a mitochondrial disease, but have a vision issue and want to learn from what we're doing. So it's a really nice part of doing this in the same space is that's happening, and feel free to attend. And then UMDF is also running a clinical research pavilion for those who are registered in their MitoShare program. One thing I really want to call your attention to on the next slide is that one of their activities that they've been doing for many years is called The Doctor Is In. And it is something that in the LH1 community have found really valuable. If you're someone who has symptoms, or if you have a family member on the maternal bloodline who's experiencing symptoms that are, not vision related, but maybe are possibly related to having a mutation in the mitochondria that happens to be associated with LH1, but might be causing other problems. This is a great opportunity to meet with a doctor one-on-one, a doctor who's familiar with mitochondrial disease. And you're not creating a patient-doctor relationship, but you are having the chance to have a private conversation. And again, I've heard from many people who've taken advantage of this opportunity that it's been really, really helpful to them. Some of the folks who have done this in the past have said, hey, if you have a genetic report, bring it with you, because that might mean something that might quickly tell the doctor something about you that you might have trouble putting into words. If you keep a summary of your non-vision symptoms that you'd want to discuss, bring that summary with you so that it becomes a quicker conversation, a more in-depth conversation, because the time will go fast. Again, these appointments, in the times that you see on the slide, multiple doctors are offering sessions during these times, but all of the people, both those attending the patient family sessions that I mentioned on the last slide, as well as our community, all have the opportunity to sign up. So it's important to be aware of how to do that, and look. You can look now on the app for it and then be prepared to sign up when it does open up. And John, can you talk a little bit about the app? John Coughlin, yeah.
If I can get off mute.
Yeah, we know.
We should all be getting emails today to invite us to download the app. I know I got one earlier. I've had access for a little bit. But it's an app that you can have on your iPhone or your Android device, which just provides you a lot of information. Other attendees, the agendas. You can customize your own agenda, as well as the opportunity to sign up and set an appointment for Doc is in, which those should open up early next week. So if you are interested in doing that, we encourage you to sign up, before conference, because those appointments will fill up.
Thanks, John. And if we've found that people don't use this app as much as would be beneficial, try it out. And if you run into any problems, John has offered to try and troubleshoot, and you can track him down through Facebook Messenger, and he's working to recruit other folks in the community who are comfortable helping other folks with technology. So, let us know in advance if you're having trouble learning the app or on site, and just let us help you. And John's currently the point person to help make that happen. Thanks.
I was going to mention also, if you don't have Facebook, you've all received emails from me, both for this webinar and for a couple other things. So you could always email me if that's easier for you as well.
Perfect, thank you. So another thing I wanted to mention is that in addition to the LH1 program that Maria's had us all talk through with you, in addition to the patient family program, UMDF also runs a robust teen program. Now, keep in mind that that teen program was designed for the needs of people basically in the mito community, not for those in the LHON community. Usually the LHON teens who come have chosen to stay in the LHON room. However, they're absolutely welcome to attend activities in the other room. And people, may or may not find that of interest. And Jen, did you want to speak about that a little bit?
Well, the UMDF, as you said, has planned a teen session. They've got a session where they are going to be talking with Amy Goldstein, LHO, or not LH1, a mitochondrial specialist doctor. Many teens attending this session have different mitochondrial diseases, as Lisa said, that include cognitive and mobility disorders. So for our teens with LHON, this can be interesting for some teens, but also very uncomfortable for others. I know when my son Michael attended the conference, the LHON conference, he chose to stay with the LHON sessions just to learn more about our disease. But I did talk with the head of the teen program with the UMDF. And if you have any questions regarding the teen sessions, please reach out to me on Facebook, and that's under Jennifer Malika. And I'd be more than happy to go through some of the sessions with you if you have questions.
Thanks, Jen. So, so next is simply a slide that kind of gives a broad overview of everything that's happening at the event you'll be at next week. And highlighted in yellow are the center of the universe, the things that matter, the LHON things. But note that there is so much else going on. There is a scientific clinical program that starts on Wednesday. And that's really where the bulk of the people are. Broad brushstrokes, if there's 300 or so scientific medical industry people doing what they're doing in their own space. And let's say there's 150 or so mitochondrial patient family members and a similar, broadly speaking, number of LHON people. So there's a whole lot going on, coming at it from a whole lot of different directions. Now, one of the things that the scientific community is doing is they have posters. And on the next slide, we have the concept of how in one of the rooms there will be scientific posters, and you're welcome to and invited to, encouraged to take a look, see what happens in there, talk to the folks that have prepared this work and are striving to move the science forward for all of mitochondrial diseases. Specifically, on Thursday from 6 to 8, which is when we're having our networking, some of the poster authors will be there, about half of them. But you're welcome to look at the posters at any time and then speak to the authors during that session. Moving to the next slide, one of the other things to know is that there are a large number of sponsors who are exhibiting at this event, and you're welcome to stop by their tables and see what they're doing. Most of them are more mitochondrial disease related than LHON, but when you see exhibitors in the fourth floor foyer, that's who they are and what they're doing. So that's kind of a broad brush of what's going on. Now, let's talk a little bit about the locations, where you need to be and what, and how to find them. Maria, can you talk a little bit about this beautiful big blue sign that's currently on screen?
Yes, I can. Last year, for the first time, we actually had official LHON signage. And as you can see, there's a picture, or some of us, some of you can see, but there is a picture on the right-hand side of a blue banner that's a royal blue. It's tall. It's the type that kind of pulls and pops up. And the letters LHON are in white, and they go down vertically in the center of the banner. And on the left side is myself, and on the right is Jessica, a picture from last year. And these royal blue banners will be anywhere you need to be. So they will be outside the doors of our casual networking on Thursday. So you know that that's the room that we're coming into. They will be at the mixer. They will be in a spot where you know that you can find LHON folks. That'll be kind of a hangout spot or a place to connect. They will be on Friday outside the doors of the LHON conference room, which is on another floor. So they will be on each side of the door there. So you'll be able to see that coming in. You can't miss it. They also, as the picture, depicts, it is a great photo op place. And we took the photo, I think that was on Thursday of last year. It might have been early, and we were just running around getting things ready. And we're like, hey, let's take a picture. Well, it ended up being a thing. And people started taking pictures by these banners, and it became kind of a photo place. And feel free to do that again this year. They're tons of fun. But you can't miss where we're supposed to be, because those blue banners will tell you where we are.
So to find the banners, you need to be on the right floor at the right time. So just kind of to orient where you want to be, we'll start with Thursday. And for those of you who will be there on Thursday, your starting place is on the 4th floor, and there's a registration table. And so you want to start by registering on the 4th floor. And then also up there is where the doc is in, which will apply to a few of you. But for everyone on Thursday, or if you come on Friday, you'll be registering up on the 4th floor. So that's 4th floor registration. That's where you start. Next move is you go down to the 2nd floor on Thursday, because on Thursday, that's where in Regency Ballrooms A and D, that's where we'll be having the casual networking and the roundtable discussions that were described earlier. Then after that, you go back up to the 4th floor, and that's where the welcome mixer reception is. So register 2nd floor, networking and roundtable discussions, 2nd floor, back up to the 4th floor for the reception. That's Thursday. Then on Friday and Saturday, assuming you've registered up on the 2nd floor, the only place you need to be is down on the 2nd floor. Your breakfast is in Regency Ballroom D, and then which is where we will have been networking and doing roundtable discussions on Thursday. And then what we call the LHON room is right next door, Regency Ballroom E and F. So the LHON sessions on Friday and Saturday will all be taking place in Regency Ballroom E and F. We'll have lunch in the ballroom next door, and then we'll come back for more sessions. So that's kind of your home away from home for a couple of days. When it comes to the food you're eating, just want to be clear. It was mentioned earlier, but the Thursday mixer, it's not really a meal. It's very light appetizers. It's, cheese board, charcuterie board, maybe some flatbreads, but just some real simple food. The continental breakfasts, again, they're not hearty breakfasts, they're continental breakfasts. So it's a bread, pastry, yogurt, fruit, that kind of a thing, cereal. So if you need a full breakfast, you kind of need to get your own full breakfast. But if a light continental is good enough for you, then we'll have that for you. And any dietary needs that have been communicated, those will lead to having a colored dot on the back of your badge. So make sure you have that when you check in. And then when your server serves you, make sure they see that you have one of those dots so they do get you the right food. Know that on Friday lunch, and for those attending the banquet Friday night, there's going to be a section of tables reserved for LHON attendees. It'll be marked by signs with LHON. You don't have to sit there. You can sit anywhere you want to. Friday lunch, the patient family crew will be eating by regions. And if you identify more with where you live than with LHON, feel free to go over there and say, hey. And if you want to find your LHON crowd, that's where those signs will be. So it's not to stop you from going anywhere else. It's just to make it easier for this crowd to find each other. And, the more that meals can be eaten in the room, the ballroom where food is to be eaten rather than in sessions is really helpful, because we're recording, we have people who can't see what's happening. So relying on sound is really important. So if you do bring your food into our room, you might have somebody come by and say, could you take that outside? Because the clanging and the chips and the whatever just gets really distracting. So just a warning in advance. Another housekeeping item, dress code, casual, comfortable, whatever you want, just be comfortable, and no one's judging. But be aware that, we are in a hotel conference room, and those tend to be kept really cold because you got a whole lot of warm bodies that eventually warm them up. So, it's not going to be the temperature you want. So dress in layers so that you can adjust, because we won't be able to adjust it to you. We won't be passing out hard copies of an agenda. So we'll be offering ways for you to get the latest and greatest version before the conference starts. So make sure you've printed one ahead of time if you want it. And again, know that we're going to be recording sessions. So please, keep the noise down and phone silence when you get there. Maria, you want to talk about the identifying information for LHON?
Yes. Okay. So, so there's a couple of ways that we will be able to identify that we are part of the LHON conference, which is different than the Family Patient UMDF conference. And the first item is that we will all have blue lanyards attached to our name badge. We had my partner actually a couple of years ago. We all were wearing green lanyards. We've always worn green lanyards. That's the mitochondria color for the UMDF. And he said it would really be helpful if you all had a different colored lanyard so that anyone new or sighted supporter that was with someone who was visually impaired could actually look to see what lanyard colored people had to know if they were LHON or if they were the broader family patient attendees. And we're like, that's brilliant. Why didn't we think of that? So a couple of years ago, we changed it. And the LHON folks, of course, wear royal blue lanyards. So if you're new or you're with somebody, you're with a sighted partner, that your sighted supporter or partner can look around for the blue lanyards. That's the LHON crew. Okay, so that's a good identifier. We also are offering our buttons again this year, and the buttons will be offered when you check in at registration to those who are affected. And the buttons say, I may look good, but I don't see well. And we typically just pin them onto our lanyard. And what that does is it alerts people who are speaking to you that you are visually impaired. And so they automatically will know that you may not see their hand came out for a handshake. You can't read their name badge. You may not recognize them, other than telling people 1,000 times I'm affected. Okay. So I'm telling you, trust me, all the cool blind kids wear them. Okay. So you'll be offered that button, and please put it on your lanyard, and we all have it, or at least all the affected kids. Okay. And then lastly, we do have volunteers that will be there. Some on Friday possibly, but on Saturday, and they will be wearing royal blue vests. And on the back, it will say LHON volunteer. These are folks that you can go to and ask questions for directions, for help. Maybe they can help find somebody for you. They're just there to help out with whatever we might need. Could be you need some help at the continental breakfast, because as the affected, pastries, breads, croissants, and muffins, they all look exactly the same. It's just one blurry light brown field of nothing. So if you need some help, maybe at the Continental Breakfast, there'll be somebody there, possibly, but maybe later in the day. People in the back of the room, you may want to know where the restrooms are, something like that. So we'll have them there. But again, you'll be able to find them in the royal blue vest. So we're sticking, if you're seeing, there's a theme here with the royal blue. All right. So next slide.
Thanks, Maria. So now you know everything you need to know. Now you just need to get here. So getting to the hotel, we have the address for you. The airport's 14 miles away. Some folks some folks will be in a situation where they're driving and parking, and there is a discounted rate for a $40 valet, which is normally $50, and spothero.com does provide other parking options. And of course, a lot of folks will be using Uber and other options, and sometimes folks can share rides. I did see someone post in our Facebook group asking to find someone to share a ride with them. Maria, let's talk about that Facebook group.
Okay. So some of you already know, and some of you might not know. We have a private 2025 LHON conference Facebook group. And if you've made your way over and you've already posted and introduced yourself, yay, we love it. But if you haven't, go ahead and go onto Facebook and just throw in the search bar 2025 LHON conference. And this should pop up. And you can join it, ask to join, and we will, of course, let you in if you are a registered attendee. Nobody who on the outside can be in the group. It's only registered attendees. So if you're in it, but maybe you have family members that are coming with you, but they haven't joined yet, please encourage them to join. And if you're in there and you haven't posted, again, it's not required, but we would love for you to post just a little something about yourself, where you're coming from, how did you get into the LHON world, who are you coming with, and a picture if you'd like. You get bonus points for pictures, and just a nice way for us to put faces to names and for everyone to kind of get to know each other before the conference starts. Also, during the conference, I will do my best to post updates or anything you all need to know of what's going on while we're in St. Louis, like where we're all going to end up on Friday night or where we all end up on Thursday night. I'll post something in the group. Feel free to post pictures what you start taking at the conference in the group. I think that's always fun. People like to look at those casual, candid photos, anything that you think is fun, throw it in the group if it's related to the 2025 conference. It is, again, it's a great way to get to know names, maybe not so much faces for some of us, but it is a great way to get to know names of folks that when you meet them at conference, you're like, yeah, you're in, saw your name in the Facebook group. So again, Facebook, 2025 LHON conference attendee group. It is private for registered attendees only. So get on over there and join it, and please post and introduce yourself. So that concludes our what to expect at the 2025 LHON conference. And again, it is next week in St. Louis, Missouri, June 19th through the 21st. And thank you everyone for coming. And we're going to take some questions and would love to hear any comments or anything you'd like to talk about in regards to the conference. But we're going to wrap it up here. We're going to stop the recording. And again, remember, this was recorded. As soon as we get the link, we will be sending an email out to all of you. If you want to re-watch it, you want to find a slide that you wanted to get some information off of, that's your chance to do that, okay? So look for that in your inbox in the coming days. So with the recording off, we'd like to open it up